Jesus put it very simply. I was hungry and you gave me to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me to drink. I was alone and homeless and you took me in. I was in prison and you visited me. And then he says, whatever you did for one of these, my least brethren, you did it for me. And that is at the heart of being a Christian in our day. Out of the heart of our religion comes understanding, comes support for those who need support, companionship for those who are lonely, food for those who are hungry, drink for those who are thirsty. And that we do it because in doing that, we are loving God and we are serving God.
Please help me welcome Erin Kerr from the class of 2001. Erin's call to serve has led her to Chicago and blessings in a backpack.
Hello, everyone. I have to say, this is quite the moment. I'm so excited to be with you here today. Thank you for sharing your day with us. It was always my dream to come to Notre Dame. I was that kiddo that had head-to-toe Notre Dame gear on, even had this watch that played the fight song. It took me my entire freshman year to really come to terms that I was actually a student at Notre Dame. So it's my great honor to be with you today. When I arrived on campus, I came in with my future pointed very strongly with a career in finance. Somehow I left campus 4 years later with my career pointed towards service. Surprisingly, yes. But as I left campus, through my time here, two very important people, three people actually, that really helped define my life were my parents and Father Ted. And they both shared a philosophy: if you're going to do something, do it all the way. Father Ted had a quote from 1979, year I was born, Hesburgh papers that spoke of the value of a committed life. And very similar to Plato's statement about an unexamined life, if you're going to be committed, do it all the way. And that really helped me build a life that was as purpose-focused on serving others, a committed life to serving others. 11 years ago, I had the great honor of having breakfast with a former colleague, Brooke Wiseman, who was then CEO of Blessings in a Backpack. It was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Met up for breakfast, had a wonderful time, and I walked in thinking we're gonna, talk about updates on what each other has going on in their lives, some of our colleagues, what's going on with everyone's families. And I was quite surprised because the conversation went a very different direction. Now, I believe that questions are very powerful things. When you ask a question, typically you have to get a response out of someone. And going back to Plato's unexamined life. So, I have a couple of questions for you today. The first is, what would you do if you knew today there are 9 million children facing food insecurity in our country? That means they don't have consistent access to enough food to live happy, healthy lives. What would you do if you knew those kids are in every zip code in America, from 90210 in Los Angeles to 10013 in Manhattan, in your community and in my community? There are kids today, it's Saturday, that don't have food to eat at home. These kids often, people don't know about them because it's very easy to pass over that in our daily lives. What would you do if you knew these kids face 65 hours from when school closes their door on Monday till they come back to school when school closes their door on Friday, to when they come back to school Monday morning, not always knowing that they're going to have enough food to eat? But thankfully, Blessings in a Backpack has the solution for these children. Now, going back to my breakfast with Brooke Wiseman, she told me the story that morning after I found out these things about weekend hunger, the 65 hours It's in every community, 9 million hungry kids. She then tells me the story about a volunteer with blessings in a backpack. And this volunteer was passing out blessings bags Fridays, kids left school. And this little girl comes up to her and she says, "I'm not going to eat my applesauce. I'd like to give it back to you to give to another kid." And the volunteer is like, "Oh, but that's okay. You know, not everyone likes everything that we send home on Friday, but maybe someone in your family would like to eat this." And the little girl looks up to the volunteer. She's like, "Well, I don't have a family." And the volunteer says, "Well, then who takes care of you?" And this little girl looks up to her and she goes, "You do. You do." And my response to hearing about weekend hunger for kids and then this story was I looked at Brooke and I asked her a question. What do you need me to do? And that was really the start, or really helped me define my purpose and my commitment to life. So while I left Notre Dame with a finance degree, and I did not go into finance, that degree has come in immediately helpful, running a nonprofit and building that committed, purpose-focused life. My 13-year-old Sam recently told my husband and I that his favorite day of the week is Thursday. And oh boy, do I get Thursdays. I mean, Thursday, there's so much anticipation for the weekend, sleeping late, playing with friends, watching sports, playing sports. But for kids who face weekend hunger, Thursdays bring anxiety and stress, which turns into behavioral issues at school. They're not looking forward to the weekend because when they leave school on Friday, they might not have enough food to eat this weekend. But thankfully for these kiddos, Blessings in a Backpack has the solution. We mobilize communities, resources, and individuals to ensure school-age children have enough food to eat on the weekends. This school year, we're at 1,000 program locations in 44 states. We're going to provide over 3 million hunger-free weekends to these kiddos. The backpack program is a very common solution for feeding kids on the weekends. But what's special about Blessings in a Backpack is we've developed a scalable, flexible model so anyone, anywhere in America can be part of the solution. This past fall, I was very honored to be invited to the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health, the first conference in 50 years of its kind. So it was a very monumental event, and I was in a room with amazing leaders, and we were talking about proper nutrition as preventative medicine and how to expand the school meal program, and I left feeling very frustrated. And it took me a while to figure it out, and it was because nowhere during that day of all these leaders in the room about hunger did anyone mention the weekend hunger gap that these 9 million kids are facing. And as I was walking around DC that evening, I realized, wait a second, that's my job. My job is to make sure that everybody knows about it and that we have a solution to solve the problem. Often social problems feel insurmountable to fix, but that's not true about weekend hunger for kids. We know the solution. So that for me was my Father Ted moment. It was my aha moment about how we need to take things to the next level. And I think it lines up very closely with the video that was shared earlier about how what you do for the least of my people, you're doing for me. So I would really like to call everyone's attention here. This is how you can feed kids in your community. If everyone could please take out their phones and scan this QR code right here in the corner. It'll take you to a website, blessingsinthebackpack.org, Father Ted said, and on that page, you will find the solution to feed kids in your community, with your church, with your kid's school, with your employer, with your friends, or just yourself, because all it takes is one caring person to make the difference in somebody else's life, especially when it's a child facing hunger. As I said earlier, we have the solution. Are you going to be a part of it? Which is why I love questions so much. And I would like to end today with 2 questions. The first, You'll see underneath our logo there, it says, who will feed the kids this weekend? My question to you is, will you? Then my second question, which we all know, is what will you fight for? I'm fighting to end the weekend hunger gap for kids. Please join me in that fight.